Hey guys, Rick at Healing Field Farm. Today we thought we would share what we learned and maybe some of the obstacles over the first year of homesteading. And although nothing was overly hard, don't mind our chicken, very vocal this morning. The dogs are in the background. So nothing was really overly hard as far as homesteading goes. Took some time, obviously. It's a lot of work, we'll say that, and we knew that going in though, and it's the kind of work I enjoy doing. So we're not afraid of hard work, so that works out for us. But there are some things that maybe we wish we knew before or were more prepared for. And, one of those things was, we had a set budget and laid everything out for what we wanted to accomplish. And then the lumber prices skyrocketed on us and on everybody. And it made us building the barn the way we wanted to not feasible. So it kind of put us in a tough spot where we thought we were going to have to maybe do like a rent-to-own shed and convert it to a barn. But at the same time, that would have cost just as much to build it new, and we'd be having monthly payments, and that's not what we wanted. So fortunately, we lucked out, and our neighbors gifted us an old barn that they had. We just had to take it down and move it and set it back up. So, and we added to it. We added the front walls and all that, and we'll be expanding onto it. May even expand on the side, kind of a lean-to type roof here. But so that was one of the harder lessons to learn, I think, was you just got to be prepared for any possible outcome, and we really weren't. And it kind of put us in a tough spot for a little bit, because we had already had the goats and everything that was going to need the barn, and then the whole barn kind of fizzled out. So it's good to budget, but it's also good to have a feasible backup plan, and we didn't, and we lucked out. We got lucky. So it all worked out in the end, but it could have found us, trying to figure out what to do with all these animals, possibly even having to sell them if we couldn't have got a decent shelter up for them in time. So something else we learned our first year homesteading is we are not bunny people. And, Sarah loves bunnies, and we've had bunnies in the past, but they just have this habit of getting out. And one of the females got out and then had a litter of bunnies outside underneath the barn. And then we come out one day and there's 8 little babies running around. So we caught all them and, gave them away. And then, we couldn't catch the mom. She was just fast. And we have since caught her, but in that time she had another litter, so we were going through it all over again. So we do still have a couple bunnies. They're males. We have one female that's locked up in the hutch and she can't get out, and then we have 2 males that are running around. The rest of them we gave away, and not every animal is for everybody. So, and bunnies are not our animals. We're not really set up for them. We're not really going to ever be in the bunny business, and it was more of a impulse buy, and I think that's a hard lesson too, is you got to buy what you need, not what you want necessarily. So and it took a lot of work to catch those bunnies. It took about a week to get them all, and they're quick, and the bigger they get, the faster they get. And they're small. They're hard to catch, but we got them all, and they all got a new home, so they're all good. But Some other things we learned this year, you know, obviously we expected to get more out of the garden. We knew going in, you know, the soil quality wasn't where it needed to be. But at the same time, we put in a lot of work to the soil, adding compost and such, you know, tilling and all that. So, very loud chickens today. So, I mean, we did get quite a bit of produce, but a lot of the plants just didn't take off the right way. We had to replant cucumbers like 3 or 4 times. They just weren't taking in one section of the garden. You know, we planted some in other sections and they grew fine. So I mean, you know, we learned that no matter how much work you put into soil and all that, it still may not be where you need it to be. And, you know, we know it's going to take a couple of years for it to really be where it needs to be, but we were hoping to, you know, get enough vegetables for us and sell at the farm stand, and that just was not the case. Not even close. We had nothing to sell. You know, we did give a little bit of the produce away to neighbors and stuff, but I mean, for the most part, it just wasn't enough. And we planted a lot. I mean, we had like 3 rows of cucumbers, we had 4 rows of tomatoes, we planted corn and squash and potatoes and zucchini and all kinds of stuff. And tomatoes, we had more than enough, but nothing else really. So definitely, you know, take the time, don't get frustrated if, you know, your garden's not what you want it to be the first couple of years, because it's probably not going to be. And it's going to take some time to get soil levels to where you need them as far as nutrient rich. So another thing that we learned, and this one kind of kicks me in the butt a lot, is we didn't really utilize the land possibly in the best way. And that's not to say we can't change it, and over time we probably will, but it would have saved a lot of work if we would have really just kind of look at the layout of the land and set things up a little smarter. So obviously, you know, we got the goat pen, the chicken coop, you know, we got a little barnyard area, but with a little time and effort, we could have thinned out into the wood area and set a lot of that up there. And then they would have had shade all the time. They would have been, you know, cleaning that up. The chickens are free range. They go in there all the time anyways, but we could have put their chicken coop in there. And we may move it, but we tied up a lot of field just for the livestock when we could have utilized the woods a lot more and, you know, saved some of the field and worked more on that as far as gardening and stuff like that. But so we will be utilizing the woods a lot more this year. And I talked about in a previous video, we're going to do turkeys. We're going to set them up there. We'll probably end up moving the chickens out there. We'll set up some pens for the goats, and we'll get them out there, and that'll free up more pasture for the sheep when we get those this year. So but yeah, take your time, really look at your land and what's the best way to set it up. You know, originally we set it up because we were going to have the pond there, and we're going to have a constant water source because we weren't planning on getting a well last year. But plans changed, we got the well, so they didn't necessarily have to be so close to the water source. So that's one of the male bunnies running around. Snickers. So yeah, you know, that was a big thing. We could have laid it out a lot better. And like I said, we'll change things. And I think a lot of farms do change things or rearrange or expand, obviously. So moving forward, we're going to try to think ahead a little bit more, and then, you know, utilize the land that you don't necessarily see every day. I think it'd be better we'll have the chickens out there. Obviously we'll have to be a little bit more aware of predators. We did actually lose a chicken the other day to a fox. He hasn't come back since, but he's been around all the neighbors and going after chickens. So he's makes his rounds, I guess. But so that'll be a big thing. Moving the birds and stuff into the woods, we'll need to definitely make sure that their pens and stuff are predator proof. So, hello. Another thing we learned, and I'm one of those people, I like to do everything myself. I'm set that way. I don't generally ask for help, whether I need it or not. I'm content doing things myself. And we couldn't have done this past year without help of our neighbors. Like I said, our neighbors gifted us the old barn. They've offered advice. We've had many long talks about homesteading and stuff that they've done that maybe we haven't tried, and vice versa. They saw the vertical potato planters and their mind was blown. They wanted to try it. So, it's really good to have good relationships with your neighbors, and even if you don't want to ask for help, sometimes you should. And we are very blessed to have such great neighbors and people in our lives, and really makes our lives a lot better for it, a lot easier. So we're very, very appreciative. But and I could go on all day about things we learned. I mean, we've learned a lot just researching stuff, fruit trees and goats and stuff like that. I will say that we were not prepared for goats the way we should have been. Our male goat, he got really sick with polio, and we didn't know how to treat it. We didn't have the medicine he needed to treat it. And living up here where we do, there isn't a tractor supply close to us. There isn't, any place where we could get the medicine we needed. And luckily our neighbors had some, and we got him going in the right direction again, and he's fine now. But, we were not prepared, and we should have been. And I think a lot of people are probably in the same boat. They're like, oh, the goats are cute, we want to get goats. And, then they get them and they get sick and they're asking for help and they don't know what to do. And, definitely do your research. We should have done more. We've been researching sheep like crazy because we know that we want to get some. We know that there's a lot of things that could go wrong with them, and we want to be prepared and make sure that we don't have any issues like, the struggles we had with the goats. So, yep, I would definitely say between the goat and the barn, those are two of the biggest things. Just not being prepared for the increase in prices, and I don't think anybody really was necessarily. It's one of those things that just kind of happened, but it could have had completely different results. And then same thing with the goat. We weren't ready for them to get sick the way he did, and out of the blue. So, but we were very fortunate. But those were some hard lessons to learn. You got to be prepared, and you got to take your time and think things through, and really, don't rush. Build at your own pace, and then if you need help, ask for help. So everybody's, willing to help if you ask, I think. So especially in the homesteading community. So nobody wants to see somebody fail. They all want to wish them the best and see them succeed in all their goals. So those were our challenges of things we learned in 2021, in our very first year of homesteading. And, it was a lot of work. Like, this was just all an open field, 12 months ago. And then we started everything in the past February, and, we got it all up and going. And, it's obviously a slow time of year because it's winter and this and that, but it'll pick up. Spring's coming, and we'll be going full bore. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.